So today, actually, I didn't even write it up. Okay, so today we're going to talk about um, your workflow and how to deliver your lead magnet. Okay, I'm not sure if anybody made any advances. Yes. Oh, great. Thank you, Sonia. Advances yesterday, and I wanted to thank you guys for coming. Thank you for waiting. And then also, you know, a few people mentioned they are not interested. They just want to like understand, but they don't want to do it. If you want help doing it, just reach out to me. We can talk about it. I have a done for you solution as well. That's something, but I do still think it's good to understand some of these things we've been talking about. Just gives you a better understanding of what's happening in the background. So, but today we're going to do lead magnet delivery and the welcome series. Okay. So yesterday, for those of you who were here, we built a landing page and a thank you page. And then the next step after that, if you recall, was now we have to tell high level once it comes up what to do. Right now, now that we've had a form submitted, we created the form, we created the landing page, we created the thank you page, that now we can have something happen. Now that we've had an activity that happens, now we can turn around and say, oh, when this happens, do this. Okay. And there was some talk yesterday about tagging. There was some talk about sending out what was I going to say? Sending out the document or redirecting once the button's pressed. And so I don't know, put in the chat or unmute and tell me, what are you thinking you want to do? Or do you have any ideas? Like Stephen, I think you were talking about your book. What do you think you want to do with that? Like after they submit their name and they get to the thank you page, what do you want to happen?
I mean, I want it to be emailed to my guests, right?
You could. I mean, some people will just do a redirect where they could download it, right?
Oh,
You know what that means, right? So like you could, instead of going to the thank you page, you could just say, you could do a thank you page and then the thank you page could say, hey, click here to download the book now or buy the book or whatever you're doing, right? Or download. And then you can always send a follow-up email, send out my book, Sherry. Okay, send out the free webinar, coolio. And then you also, in the welcome series, which we're going to create, you could also follow that up with, and this present, right? Like, remember Oprah, like, and you get a car, and you get a car, right? They get the book, but then you could also say, and I have this for you, and 2 days later, and I have this for you, and what do you think? And now you can kind of engage with them so that you can get to the next part, invite to the workshop. Exactly. So like the call that I just got off of, this is just an example. So I do these talks of I just want to make sure nobody's in the waiting room because yesterday somebody was in the waiting room waiting for me. Okay, so I did this talk for the state of Virginia about exit planning. I think there were 100 people in the room or whatever. And so I gave them the opportunity to book a call. That was one of my gimmies. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get this thing right, the register right.
Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. My staff needs me. 1 second. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. All right. So basically, so what happened was that we had people in the waiting room. Oh my gosh, it's that kind of a day, guys. Sorry about that. Oh, Mondo's in there. Okay, cool. All right. So basically, I did this class They signed up for a free call. On the free call, I talked to her about when she booked the call. I had a little welcome series. She had a little form. She told me about what she was thinking about, what she wanted to talk to me about. And then I could follow that up with some emails, some other, well, watch this before to prep for the call, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things you can do. Once you get them in your world, there's so many things you can do. And so that's kind of what the workflow makes possible because you're not doing it all, if that makes sense. So, anywho, so we just did that, and then I just was able to on the phone say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a 2-day event at the beach to where we can just put 10 business owners in the room, yada yada. Okay, so I think that was just really interesting. Oh, this one go away. That we could, sorry, it's sharing my Zoom call. So like that's what your workflow can do. So start thinking about what the most basic thing is, what did you promise them? How do you get it to them? That is step one. Okay. So for example, Stephen, you're going to do your book. So the biggest thing is like this is your first interaction with them, probably. You offered them something, they said yes, and that's pretty amazing. Okay, how do you get them what you promised? Because now, your reputation can go down or up based on how you follow through. They don't care if email doesn't get delivered, they're just going to blame you. So you want to make sure whatever it is that it actually happens, because again, it's your reputation. And then you can start to build the relationship. But if the first thing you promised doesn't happen, you're kind of dead in the water. And that's why it's important to set up these kind of things so they're not dependent on you, that they just automatically happen. Okay. So for example, this is the one that I'm building right now for my candy store. We have a brand new offer. They sign up for free candy, and actually I have a split test. I'm trying 2 different things to deliver exactly what I said. So they opt in with a form, they get to the thank you page, and one of the thank you pages will send them an email giving them the button to push to go order their candy. The other one will offer them candy right away. But I'm testing to see which one delivers better, which one do they receive better. But that is, I promised them free candy from my Facebook ad. They came, they signed up. Now it's my job to deliver that. Now, whether they order it or not is on them. But I have to make sure I do what I promised. So does that make sense for everybody? It's a little, this is business 101, right? Do what you say. However, so one of the ways we're going to do that is through an automation, a workflow. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of mine and how big and hairy they could be, but they also could be really, really simple. It could just be when they fill out this form, send my link. That's it. It could be just that. It could be you can remove workflow if the whole idea of workflow makes you nervous. It could just be redirect. Put a button on that second on the thank you page and send them to get it. It could just be that easy, right? You want them to, if what's most important to you is to get the book out to them, that could be an easy thing, right? But so some of this is just planning what you actually want to happen. All right, I'm going to show you my brand new one, just so you could see how it can look. And this is just for a basic candy store. So if I can use it for a candy store, you certainly can use it in your business. Okay, so here's my workflow for my candy store. Let's hope my tabs work. And get rid of this one. And this one. There you go. Hopefully my things are going to work. Okay. Now it's really tiny. Well, let me go back. Okay. So basically, can you see this, everybody? Okay. So my trigger is where your flow will start. Okay. You have to decide, you have to tell high level, when something happens, do this, but you have to tell them where it starts. Okay. So your trigger can be all kinds of things. So like right now, mine is a particular form is submitted. It's not all my forms, it's a particular one, but you could make it all the forms. It could be a contact is created. It could be somebody lands on your page. Sometimes the tracking of that, like if people block cookies or if it's on an iPhone, sometimes that data gets muddy, but it could be any number of things. It could be a sale. Like think about the last time you ordered something on, I don't know, Amazon or anything online, right? There are automations in place, workflows, where as soon as you place the order, they send you the confirmation, right? Then when the order gets processed, right, and they attach shipping to it, you get a tracking update. Those are automations, right, that they don't do. They're just automatically set up and they're pulling the data and sending it out. Sometimes by SMS, like we talked about, sometimes um, by email, okay? And those are email. We talked a little tiny bit about email deliverability, about people wanting to see your offer. So now I'll go use an example. The lady that I was just on the call with, I sent her the link. It was in her spam, even though she had signed up and said yes to the Google calendar event, it still was in her spam. So even though she wanted to hear from me, she initiated the call, she said yes to the things all through Google, she still, the email I sent to her from that same exact address was in spam. And so Google's a pain in the neck. That we're just going to say that. Probably shouldn't say that in public, but that's just reality. Like sometimes people are not going to see the thing. And so this is why I'm going to show you this little piece a little bit lower about what do you do? How do you ensure they get it? Because you can't, there is a way to see whether they opened it and whether they clicked it. But if you're not paying attention or setting it up to be paying attention to that, you may just send it one time and that's it. But like we've all learned in sub 2 and in the community and owners club is that the follow-up is where the money is, right? Sometimes you have to follow up 5, 10 times before they actually say yes. And so what if you just sent it once? Maybe you sent it twice, but they never saw it. Then what? Right? Then you wasted your chance, really. So, okay, so let me just show you what the triggers are. And there's a lot. So don't get bogged down in the weeds here on this, but like, here's all the triggers. Now you could search. So we can just search like page and it'll show you page, website, whatever. There are so many. But like you could do a birthday. Is their birthday coming up? Could be the trigger. I do that for my birthday club. So when their birthday is coming up 7 days before, I can tell it that. It sends them an email like, hey, it's almost your birthday, right? Same thing you could do for your agents you're trying to befriend. You could send a reminder to yourself to buy your wholesaler who brings you all the great deals to send him a birthday card. Like the workflows could do so many things, but we're going to keep it very simple about the lead magnet. But do you see like the possibilities? And guess what? Normally in the olden days, we'd pay an assistant or a secretary to do these things, to remind us. We put it in our calendar, we do all those things. Nowadays, you can have so many automations where you don't have to touch anything. And that's the fascinating part. Like imagine if for a second that you said you decided I want to have a lead magnet, I want to grow my list, I want it to get delivered, I want to have a welcome series, and I want them to book a call with me, and that you could just press a button, call somebody, and they could set up all that exactly how you want it, and it's done. And then you never have to touch it except for when they book a call, and then you get an alert, hey, you have an appointment on this day. Like, and you didn't have to do any of that. That's kind of what Pace is talking about, right? About that your content is your clone. A workflow is your clone too. A workflow is even better in that it could be replace 10 assistants, 10 staff people, right? I mean, even McDonald's is automating. I mean, so those are all workflows. So anywho, okay, the first part here is your contact. This is all contact driven. You add a note to your contact. It could spark a workflow. You a task was added. It could spark the workflow. A task is completed. You can score your contacts based on how interactive they are. That engagement score could spark, or a low engagement score could spark a workflow. These are all what gets it started, what gets the ball rolling. So you can do a webhook. I set up one today. So when people sign up for my free candy to join my candy club, I have a webhook. What all that means is it takes that data and it shoots it to Zapier, which also shoots it to someplace else. Zapier is kind of like the bridge, right? So instead of me having to export things here, like you ever had to export a list and then import it someplace else, this does it for me. I don't have to think about it. So the minute somebody signs up for my candy club, this webhook sends it to Beehive to add them to my newsletter list. I don't have to do it, right? So that's another thing that it could do. So that could be a trigger. All right. Customer replied back. A survey submitted, a form is submitted, which is what we are going to do today. A Facebook lead form, which is your cheapest ad on Facebook, is often, besides awareness, is a lead form because they don't leave the platform. So, hey, you ever want to sell your house? You keep them on Facebook. Facebook will show it to more people because they're not leaving Facebook. If you send them to your website, Facebook gets a little grumpy and they're going to charge you more for that. Okay. LinkedIn, let's say you got an error, tracking, a Facebook pixel, a fire, a lead fire, appointments booked, you have opportunities. We talked about the pipeline and opportunities, about how you can set up your process and automatically move people along. So like you met somebody new and they're a potential lead and they booked a call, they went from a lead to like they placed a call, and the next one could be you have the call and then it's the results of the call and like what happens after that. But you can have your whole pipeline set up automatically so people just move right along through it. You don't have to do it. That could be a thing. Or let's say you had a sales team and when they called, or let's just say no one left behind and they have the leads, right? They have all the leads they're supposed to be calling. And when they call, they change the dial from lead needs to be called to lead called. That is that's the movement in the list, right? And when that moves, that could trigger something. Also, if something you could put a deadline on something. If they're supposed to call within one day and it's 25 hours later, you could have that be a trigger, right? Affiliate created. There's all kinds, but you see all the different things you can do. Somebody comments on Facebook. What do you want them to do, right? Okay. So you see, there's a lot of triggers, but the basics I want you to get from this is that in order for something to happen, something has to start it to happen. Does that make sense? Right? Right? You want to drive your car, you gotta get in it, but you also have to put the key in and turn it on. Right? You got to get something to get the ball rolling. There was a question. Doing a great job. Thanks, Jamie. Okay, so, all right, we got that. Okay, so in this example, it's easier to show an example, okay? So my trigger is, and you can see this, the form was submitted, and you can specify what form. So it's my free candy form, which you guys saw a form created yesterday, and my free candy form, all it is name and email. It's nothing fancy. And that is all it is, right? And that's it. You choose that. I could have others that all go into the same workflow. I could have extras, but this is all that it is. So when this form is submitted, all the next things happen. Okay, so I'm going to close that up. So the first thing I do is I add a tag. I want to know where I found them from. For me, that's helpful to know what's working, right? So if they're grumpy, I didn't get my thing. Well, I don't know what they're talking about. Are they talking about their birthday candy? Are they talking about their free candy? What are they talking about? Did they talk about the order they placed? So for me, that helps me. Then I send them the candy coupon, which is what I promised them. Okay. Now I get to this if then kind of a scenario here, right? A condition. My action name was the coupon email opened? Stephen, for you, that could be, did they open the email that told them where the book was? If they never open it, you want to follow up with that. And this will be watching for that. Okay. So now you're at this place where yes or no. Okay. You can do more than that, but we're just going to call it yes or no. Okay, we'll keep it simple. So I created this piece here. Actually, I used somebody's recipe, but that's all. But so if it was opened, then move on to email number 2. If it was not opened, wait, and you can tell it how long to wait, an hour, okay? You can wait a week, whatever, right? If your agent didn't answer you and they didn't even open it, resend it, right? You see how that applies? So I can send 1B, and all that means is it's the same dang email with a different subject line. They don't know, they didn't open the first one. Why would I write a whole different email? Okay, so that's what mine's doing. So now I'm going to start a whole nother branch, right? And then after that, same thing, wait a day. Did they open the second one? Now I'm going to actually change this and start sending like 3 or 4 the same day. But Google likes it when they open your emails. And when they open one, send them another one. You can even make a trigger that if they opened your email, the minute they open it, that you send them another one. Because when's the best time to talk to somebody? Or when they open your email, you get a text from High Level to call them. And you call them and they're like, oh, I was just checking in. They're like, that's so weird. I was just reading your email. They have no idea that them opening the email triggered the flow, which told you to call them. And now they think it's meant to be. Right? It's a nice thing, right? Stephen, I see your brain is thinking. So, okay, so you see how that could work, but there's a lot of triggers, but mine's pretty basic. It's a candy store. This is not rocket science. Okay, so here we go, same thing. And now the second branch is going to do basically the same thing. Now you could do this for 100 emails. I only do it for like 6 or 7 and only the first 4. I also have some tagging set up, like we talked about contact tagging, that if they're not engaging, if they signed up for the thing and I send it immediately and they don't open it, and I send it again and they don't open it, and I send it again and they don't open it, I tag them as unengaged because obviously they don't want to talk to me, right? I don't throw away the email, but I at least make a note. Hey, this is their pattern. They didn't open it, even though they just signed up for it 2 minutes ago, right? They're not my people, and that's okay. So, but you see how this, so I'm going to expand out so you can kind of see. It could look, let me see, plus, no, other way, boop, boop. Okay, but you can see how it just keeps going and going and going and going and going, right? So, and that's like all the way down, and eventually it ends. But sometimes, this is what I would call a welcome series. Some people separate out their welcome series from their delivery. So they're 2 different things. But like, so let's say we'll use Stephen's example. So they come into his world, they sign up, they want his book. He sends them the book. That's one workflow. And at the end of that first workflow, it says start this workflow. And now it's the welcome series. So you could use the same welcome series for anybody who's coming in, but that lead magnet is separate so that if you had 5 lead magnets, they all get delivered separately. And then anybody who gets the lead magnets gets entered into the welcome flow. And it's the same thing. It's the same one for everybody. So you don't have to create 5. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of ways. So, okay, give me a wave. Tell me, like, have I lost anybody? Tell me, Stephen.
So, you're saying like, if I create a workflow in here, like I'm
Hmm?
starting one right now because I finished up what
Okay.
we talked about yesterday, last
Yep.
night. I guess I don't know if it worked completely, but
Okay. Sorry, it's
Um,
loud. Uh-huh.
if I do a workflow, I can set it up for this one, and
Okay,
then
I don't know who it is, but I have a call. I'm on a Zoom call, so
Okay.
I can call after.
MJ.
MJ, cool.
Yes.
I'm very popular today, Stephen. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
hey, it's a good thing.
It's a
Um,
problem,
so
right?
I can set up the workflow for this, and then
Uh-huh.
I can insert one step where it goes to like a new step over here of
Yeah.
now they'll get on an email workflow of like other things
Mhm.
along the way,
So you could do
and then
one of 2
and
ways. You could do it on the same or 2.
well, and then if other people like they can get inserted into the same workflow from different places in that same thing.
But everyone who opts in will show up on your workflow at different stages. And I can show you that on a different one that's live. This one is going live today. Because then it'll show you how many people are on the first step, the second step, where they are. You can look at the stats. This one won't show you. Let me see if I can go back.
And if it missed steps along the way, like say they came in on step 3, then you could have part of that workflow, like send them the first 2 steps.
Well, they wouldn't come in on work stuff. So think about it like this, right? You're starting the momentum. So signing up for your lead magnet is the momentum. That's what triggers it. That's what
Or
lights
if you
the
have
match.
yeah, but if you have several,
But if you had several, they'd
then they
either
could all
be
tie to the same workflow, right?
correct. So you could have multiple triggers at the top, if that makes sense. So you could have, they filled out this form, they filled out this form, they filled out this form, and they filled out this form. So you could have multiple triggers, but you also could set up separate ones. So like every time they signed up for your book, that's one specific workflow for delivery for that item. And then you could send them at the end, like go to enroll or tag them as welcome. Okay, you sent them the thing, they filled out the form, you sent them the thing, they opened the thing, and now it says tag them as welcome, right? Or newbie. And then that tag could be the trigger of a different workflow that introduces them to you in your welcome series. Do you see what I'm saying? So then you could have multiple lead magnets all delivering, but then sending them to the same welcome series. So there's a thing about like you want to just talk to these people. Remember Kevin Cho shared about how he had all these people on his list, but he never talked to them. Okay. If you're going to go through all the work of getting them, you want to talk to them. And you want it to be automated because if it relies on you, it probably won't happen. That's just life. Okay. So you're going to set up at least talk to them the first week you signed them up, right? And then evaluate whether or not you want to pursue the relationship, right? It's like dating, right? Hey, send them a drink. Did they like it? Want to share a drink? Okay, right? It's not like let's get married. It's right, let's pace ourselves, right? So we're not sleeping together. We're dating, right? We're getting to know each other. We're gonna go on a group date. Then we're gonna go whatever, right? We're gonna go have coffee. Then we're gonna go to dinner. Then we're gonna, right? But you're working them through that process. You don't just like meet them and blow them off. That's not helpful. Or you meet them, go hot and heavy for a few connections and then blow them off. It's the same thing. You're courting them, you're building the rapport. Okay, so the flow, and I'll show you it's my birthday coupons. Let me show you my candy. This is my welcome series here. And I can show you, it'll show you the stats of where people are, how they've moved through, how many people have moved through. I think there's a way to show you on there. Sorry, somebody's putting something in the chat. Lots of nurturing. Yes, people require that. Okay. I'm pretty sure in my stats it's in here. Oh, goodness. Oh, execution logs, maybe enrollment history. Dang it. I know there's a way to see stats. Jamie, how do I see stats? I forget. Notes. Stats view. Aha! I did it. Okay. Workflow is not editable. Editable. Okay. Look, shows you how many. Let's go back to the top. Oh, it doesn't show how many triggers. I don't know why it doesn't show triggers, but look here. Email confirmation. This is how many opened. This is how many delivered. This is how many clicked. This is how many bounced. Because some people are jerks and they give you a spammy email. Okay. And we keep going. Look. How many 0 delivered? Okay. But that's probably because they didn't open the first one or they did or whatever, right? We've got some failures here. And then it will also tell you, but like, see, 98% were delivered, 36% were opened, yada, yada. Ultimate list. Look, now that same list over here, from here, 61% opened. Good, those are pretty good rates, by the way. If I do say something, and then here's email number one, 98% delivered, 42% opened, 15% clicked. That's a pretty good rate. Okay, think about it. If you think about it, if 100 people in the room and 98% of them got your email, and 42% of them like raise their hand, yes, talk to me. And then 15 out of the 15% of them actually did the thing. I mean, that's just the way it works, right? You're never going to get high numbers. Keep in mind, these numbers, I'm giving away free candy. Like, this is not a hard sell. Okay. So, but this is how it can show you how things are doing. And remember, we talked about when you build a funnel, it's incremental improvements that really help it, right? These little things. You change the font, you change the wording, you change the heading, you change the background. Like those little incremental things can make the difference between no money and millions. But once you get something that's working, you just incrementally fix it a little bit better every day. Okay, so that is that one. So basically, let's just create a brand new one so you'll understand and we can work you right through it. All right, so here we go. All right, now remember I said there are templates in here. So you could select a recipe, right? Instead of like, if you don't want to make lasagna from scratch and make it up as you go, you could just follow a recipe. And that's what, look at all these, right? WhatsApp delivery, send product recommendation using ChatGPT, Instagram comment automation, like there's just so many, okay? There are so many. Not to mention what you could create, okay?
So quick
We're gonna
question, does that mean
Sure.
if somebody puts a comment in my Instagram on a post, if it sees a comment in there, it will do an automated reply? Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Super cool.
Yep. Yes, right? You would think about you're replacing people. Replacing you. Isn't that what Pace wants us to do, right? And whether that's building your own things or offloading that, right? So same thing, but we're just going to create a workflow from scratch just because it could be a lot. Okay, so we're going to just start from scratch. Okay, here we go. All right, sure. I don't know what that means. Okay, and you're going to slide it down. It's just like a big graph paper. If you think about graph paper, right, or any kind of thing, you're going to add a new trigger. And we're going to do, because we were talking about lead magnets. We created the lead magnet funnel where they opt in and then we deliver something. So we're just going to say that the form was submitted. That's the easiest way. It keeps it pretty simple. Okay, so we're going to say form is submitted. Once it says form is submitted, you're going to choose the form. Okay. Select, and it's going to show you all form is, and then you're going to choose the form. Test. Remember we made the tester form yesterday? That's the one I'm going to choose. Okay. Then we're just going to save that. Now again, you could have a secondary one. You could make it contact is created. They're new to your world. Okay. You could add a filter on that, right? Contact is created and it has the tag of, let's say, birthday club. Okay, so anytime a contact's created, it has the tag of that, all the things following should happen. Okay, there's lots of different ways. We'll just save that. Okay, so now we've got two triggers. Okay, so now what do we want to happen? I mean, chances are we want to send an email. Okay. Now we could tell it to wait 20 minutes. Okay, but let's just say we want to send an email. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something that I was able to do and I learned. You can write the email right here. Here's my book. Okay, with the link to the book. And save it. That's it. I mean, it could be just that simple, right? Here's the, here's this from name, from my name, Tracy, or right, let's just say you're doing different businesses or whatever. From email, you can choose, remember, we have the email in there, your subject line, whatever you want that to be, and then you can just write it. You can add an image, you can do all kinds of things. You can add a custom value. You can add their first name. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Thanks so much for opting in, right? You can do that. You can do their full name. You can, and you don't have to use it in the standard way of at the top, right? You could jump right into a story of like, one day I was walking downtown. I thought, oh my gosh, I need something sweet. I just finished lunch. And then I was walking around and I was like, gosh, there is no dessert places here. I knew that I needed to start a business that was a candy store. Do you know what I mean? Contact. And you put the first name right there. Doesn't have to be at the top, right? Because everybody puts it at the top. That's not creative, right? Or have you ever seen those ones? This is fun in the real estate. It's like, you can put, let's say that you had their address and you put like in the subject line, Keene, New Hampshire is liquidating or knocking down 25 houses. Like that, would that get your attention if it was your hometown? You might open that, right? Because the goal is to get them to open the email. But you could put the email or like it just depends. You have to have the data to do it, but you could play with that is what I'm saying, right? You could say, so Grant Cardone was doing that for a while. He would say buying houses in Keene, New Hampshire, right? Because he knew that's where I lived. So he was putting it and it was from him, and it looks, especially like people think these are personal emails. They don't know they're automations. My husband is kind of old school. And he's like, so and so keeps writing to me, but I'm like, and I feel bad, but like, I don't want to talk to him. And I'm like, he's not writing to you. Like, but in his mind, he is because he's addressing him personally. He's referencing things about my husband that he doesn't know how he knows that. Like, did you see that what happened in Keene the other day? Like, he's like, what? How does he know that, right? But that's just from pulling the data from here. Okay, so you can set up an email really creative. But anyway, that's a whole different. So you can add those kind of things like custom values. You can add the email. I saw one of the other masterminds I'm in. He did one with their phone number in the subject line. So like this number has won $1 million. Dot 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 dot. Right?
Hey there,
Like,
Mr. Call. Sorry, I'm on a Zoom. Call me back. Bye.
okay. Anyway, so I missed the call too. Anyway, so like that, so you can write this here. The other thing that's really fascinating is you can set up templates. You know how I was doing email number 1? Did they open it? Okay, send the same thing, but with a different subject line. Well, I could either come in here and cut and paste, or I could have a template that I could choose and use it over and over and over again. So I can choose birthday 6. That's my template. It's right there. And that's what it's going to send. So you can set up templates elsewhere. Okay. And so let's just say the template was, hey, Joan, thanks so much for downloading my book, for signing up. I'm super excited for you to read it. Let me know what you think. And did you know there's something in there? There's a surprise on page 72. Talk soon, Stephen. Okay. Sounds personal, right? Sounds like you jotted her a note and you threw in some interesting things that is not the standard, right? But the template could be created and it just pulls her name. And now it seems personal. So that is one of the amazing features that I love, because in ClickFunnels, I had to copy, paste, right? Every time you couldn't do this. So this is a really nice feature. But anywho, so we're just going to save that. When the form is submitted, we're going to send the email. Simple. And I chose a template. Okay. And then you could do if then, but then you could also say, see what else we've got here. So, and then you could send an SMS. And I believe you can send it to yourself, right? Or you can send yourself an email. Or you can send, right? So-and-so downloaded your book. Maybe you should call them, right? So let's do an if then. If they open, send them another email. If they don't email, do nothing, right? If they click the link, da 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 da, right? If they open the email, send me an email so I can call them, right? I mean, if somebody's submitting a form because they want to borrow money from you, if you're a money lender, would you want to talk to them now or later? Right? Somebody wants to sell their house. They want to wait until you see the email later? Or do you want to know right away? That's one of the perks of this kind of thing. So, all right. So does everyone understand kind of how this works? And this is the most simple thing, right? This could be the end. Form submitted, send the email with the data. The end. You now have a lead magnet funnel. You built a form to collect data, which will create a contact for you that you can make notes about. Okay. I think even in this, I haven't played with it that much, that you could update the contact, right? That they opened the book or they read the book, right? And then you could create a reminder on your calendar to call them in a week to check in. Whatever it is, right? Whatever your process is. But all of this is done here. And then the last thing is, this is still a draft, you're going to save it, but you can name it whatever you want to. Now, when you wind up with a lot of them, it can get messy. You can build folders, kind of like in Google or in anything. You can build a folder for your lead magnets and put all the workflows in there. You can create something, whatever you're creating. If you're creating a funnel, you can put them in a folder. You can have it one related to your lending and one related to your buying. So you want to call it though something you want to start. If you're starting from scratch, you want to start organized so you can find stuff and make it so it makes sense to you. Okay. New workflow 173-222-186-8487 is not going to tell me anything about what I need, right? So we go back to workflows and you look. We're just going to confirm when we get out of this. Okay. Now I didn't save it, but basically it's going to show me everything. That is pretty much it for a workflow. So now you've delivered your lead magnet. Now what, right? Now you get to decide, and you get to decide how do you want to talk to them. And you can use ChatGPT. Do you know how hard it is? Not. Create a welcome series of 7 emails that are in this style. You submit the PDF of who you are and the way you kind of write, like this, that is witty and engaging and really build rapport. And I want them to include some stories about successful lending. It will create it. You can copy it and then update it a little bit so it's not completely GPT. And now you just plop that in there. You don't have to write it all. Okay. Or you can just have, I believe, High Level could do it even for you because AI is now attached. There is a button for that up here. I haven't played with it very much, but people that I work with do all the time, and it will create stuff for you. Also, we talked about, and I think that's either tomorrow or Monday, but it was about social content. I'll show you how to connect all your things so that you can respond, so you can get an alert that if Janie, who's in your contact list, comments on something. You ever see when Pace is like, put lender and I'll send you the thing, right? Okay. The trigger is lender. And when that happens, these 5 things happen. Now you can do that in Instagram. There's a couple different ways to do it, but you can also do it here. Okay. I don't want to make your brains hurt, but that's kind of where I'm thinking we are. I'm going to stop my share and say, okay, cool. Yeah. Any any questions about anything? Did I confuse you?
How do we know it works?
Remember that statistics I was looking at? It'll tell
I
you
mean,
what's
like-
delivered.
I mean, I just built one. How do I know it works?
Oh, there's a test button. You can send it to yourself.
I hadn't got it in my email.
You what?
I haven't received it yet, so I guess it didn't work.
Oh, well, is your email attached? It should be, right? I'm not sure. So, I mean, so if you test it, so if you publish it, go and if you, it should, I mean, I think you can do it from there. It's hard to see because I say I'm not looking at it, but usually you can test it and there's a test email button at the bottom, usually of your workflow where you can test it out, where it will send you the first one and then to keep you going. The other option is to make it live, go to your lead magnet, opt in and see what happens. Did the contact get created? What happened after? If you set it up correctly, right? And here's the other thing. If you use yours and you're already in there, it's not going to do it. So sometimes if it's contact is created and you're already in there, it's not going to redo it. Sometimes there's a selection where you have to say that people can re-enter the workflow multiple times, right? Because sometimes if you've been through it once, they won't do it again. So it just depends. But I would say you've tied it to that right form, correct, Stephen? What do you mean? So, oh, look, you're wearing high level. There you go. You're representing. I have that same one from the Clever Summit. But anyway, yep. So you just want to make sure that your lead magnet is set up right, and that so if you go to the opt-in page. Okay, so let's take a step back. So if we go, you get out of this, save it, publish it, whatever you need to do to get back to your main screen. And you go to sites and you choose the funnel you built yesterday. You can launch the URL so you could see what it really looks like. And then you could enter data. And then it will show you whether the contact gets created. But obviously use an email that you can see if you want to see if an email gets sent. Now it'll show you in the contact, it will show you what was sent. So I can show you that quick because that's another way you can look. Hold on a second. Okay. So in contacts, this is one of the cool parts. Like when some people are like, oh, I never got my email. And then I can go in, like all these people signed up today. Okay. So let's see if we'll look at him. I'll have to block this out on YouTube so I don't get banned again. But let's see. So this one, come on. Okay, so here the contact was created just a few minutes ago, and usually if something's sent, I don't know why it's taking so long, my internet, but here we are. So here we are. Look,
Hello?
Hi, Donald. This is Sonia with Texacali.
okay. So anywho, so here you see this. Let me see if I can close. So basically, he signed up today. That's the email that got sent. And it tells me what time. And then there's the second one that got sent. And that's what's happened so far. And then this tells you all the steps that happened. They visited the page, they submitted the form, the contact got created, and then they started to do, and then he went to the social media, right? Candy Right Now page. Oh, this is my new funnel. I guess it's working. So anywho, so then he's on that page and we'll see if he orders, right? So, but this is where you can see if it got sent, Stephen, based on the contact, and it'll just keep updating it based on, and it's got all this tracking. Like think about, like they know where we're doing, what we're doing, and they can follow us everywhere. So, does that make sense? So play with it a little bit. I mean, you can play, you're getting close, you're getting close. So, and then just figure, and then there's like a million videos on YouTube, whatever. But again, try to play with it. And then tomorrow, if hopefully I won't start late tomorrow. And then you could share your screen and I could take a look. Okay? Just to give you, like, if you can't figure it out, if it doesn't send, but if you didn't put a weight, you should be able to see it send right away, provided your email is set up. Are you sending emails already, Stephen? From that?
So I just did the whole test thing that you just tried, like by
Mm.
going to the page and entering mine,
Mhm.
So my contact in my REI, I get put me as a contact in there. I use
Mhm.
like my iCloud.
Yeah.
It says in here that it's sent. I haven't got the email though as of yet. So
Interesting. The other thing is you can, so you know how we have all of these spam, promotional, yada, yada, right? A lot of times, even when people sign up for stuff, like I used my example today, I'm on the phone with her. She's asked for the link. I'm sending her the link and it's still in spam. She signed up. She did all the things, right? So sometimes things get caught in spam, which is why sometimes we double check. Did they open it? Did they see it? Right?
I got one quick question because I
Sure.
use this for I use my CRM for a lot of things. It says contact created is a trigger or whatever, or I guess is it just
Did you make that the trigger or did you make the form submitted the trigger? Or did you make it both?
I think I mean I said form, but I don't know if I linked it to the form.
The form will automatically create the contact. That's what the form does. If they submit the form or you submit the form, it will create the contact with the data that's given.
I just don't want like everybody who gets created because we create a lot of contacts in here.
Yeah, it's unlimited. They're not going to charge you by contact.
No, what I'm saying is I don't want them to like get this. I mean, this doesn't because I mean I use this for like my sellers. So like
Right, but that workflow that you created is only for that form.
maybe
Make sure you only, make sure your trigger is not a contact was created because then everybody's getting that. You're exactly right. Look, you solved your problem, right? So make sure it's just for the form. That's why the trigger matters. Now, if it's an amazing email, like, hey, I have a book, here it is. Most people are not going to care. Like, they're not going to be offended, but maybe you don't want everybody to do that, right? No. Okay. There you go. All right. Anybody have anything else? We're good. All righty. Hopefully this will be on YouTube. I had to break up the other one into like 5 different videos. It was a big pain in the neck because they think I shared my own email stuff, which I guess they didn't like that. So anywho, but thanks for coming, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow's at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, yeah.
Beautiful. All right. And then I have one on Monday, just for follow-up, QR codes, reviews, whatever. If there's anything like that I didn't cover that you wanted help with. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks, guys.
Very
Good to
helpful.
talk to
Appreciate it.
you.
All right.
Have a great
bye.
day. Bye.